Welcome. Thanks for visiting. You probably dropped by to see a telescope, and it wouldn't be unusual if you were a little surprised and taken aback by what you see here. But believe me, this is a telescope, and actually a very good one. It's also a lot of other things. It's a mystery, a piece of sculpture, a marriage of art and science, a centerpiece in a garden, and a sundial. The telescope is what you're used to seeing in a fiberglass tube that normally covers the optics. That tube is shrunken into a leaf of bronze that is a ginger flower, and this bowl holds the main mirror. Designed by a gentleman named Russell Porter at MIT in the 1920s. He taught architecture, was fluent in optics, loved looking up, and was a great artist. He combined all those talents and passions and designed this for fun and as a commercial venture. He also worked at a machine tool company in Vermont, Jones and Lamson, in Springfield, his hometown. They saw it and said, beautiful, we'll own the patent, we'll make it for the luxury market. At that time, John D. Rockefeller was funding the big one, the 200-inch telescope in California. Porter was vetted and invited to join the team, and his contribution was a significant piece of design, which is how this all moves. That's how they mounted their 15-ton mirror, and that helped with this in the Smithsonian. It was one of 55 that we know were made. About half of those are accounted for. 55 is the highest known serial number. My father saw the piece a few years later in 1972 when he visited a little museum in Vermont dedicated to Porter's work and the Springfield telescope makers, which he founded. My dad saw it and decided that he needed to reintroduce this to the world with significant improvements. He was smitten by the piece. The museum was helpful but skeptical because the patterns were lost, but we've engineered past that problem and made new ones, accommodating the shrinkage. Two gents who do military satellite optics at Lincoln Labs outside of Boston have spec'd the optics for us. They do work like reading license plates from outer space, so their wisdom is deep, and these optics are very good. You can see 4 moons of Jupiter beautifully clearly. You can see the rings of Saturn and separate them from the planet on a good night. The moon is the hero. The moon is absolutely beautiful. At 75 power, it fills the field almost concentrically. Because it's also a piece of art, with the optics out, as a centerpiece in the garden, we've paid attention to the detail of little things like screws that we have to make from scratch because you can't buy them. They're knurled, blackened, and buffed to look old, and they're beautiful. Likewise, the eyepieces and several other tiny details that we think Russell Porter would have approved of and done had he lived to be 150. All his were prototypes, and our first 20 were also. It's a limited edition of 200. They are serial numbered, and that underscores the fact that it really is a piece of art. The optics come out in seconds, leaving you with a sculptural centerpiece and a working sundial. As such, it's a bit of a mystery to your guests who first think it's sculpture, and then you show them how it works as a sundial. You simply bring this nut to north, point this blade at the sun, get the shadow of this centered, and your time lines up on the hour ring. So, in resurrecting this piece, we've had the pleasure of making a beautiful, clever, and unique design live again, and we bring to our clients an unusual experience that's rich, memorable, wonderful, and elegantly simple. Thanks for listening.